Hello YouTube, it's Barbara Jean. This is going to be not a very long video, not as long as my other videos always are, even though I try to make them short, they always end up long. This this video won't be too long, I'm certain of it, because I only want to bring up one point, something that I said the other day in one of my videos. I was talking about Lucifer, talking about Isaiah 14. There was a question in my mind to the Lord. I asked him why something was in the passage and what it meant, and the Lord answered me. And so I'm just going to show you what the Lord told me about this passage. So you might have had some questions about it yourself. Since I did, you probably did too. Um, the restoration, interesting enough, in Isaiah 14, it talks about Israel being restored to the land. Okay, now he talks about the restoration of Israel in Isaiah 14, that they're going to go back to the land. They're going to be Jacob's going to be, restored, and he's going to receive the land back that he had lost. And then it goes on further on, and then it brings up Lucifer falling from heaven. And I'm thinking, why did he bring that up then? Why didn't he bring it up somewhere else in the scriptures that talks about, you wouldn't know, the heavenly realm, and then this is what I saw, blah blah blah. But he mentions Lucifer falling from heaven after Israel is restored to the land. And this is what it says. Of course, I read it for you last time. Isaiah 14, let's start all the way down, because there's quite a bit in here that don't quite understand. There's Isaiah 14, 1 and 2 that talks about Israel being restored. And then there's this passage from 3 to basically 10, 11. I don't understand, so I'm not even going to go there. But what, like I said, was interesting, in the same chapter, he brings up Lucifer. Um, let's start at verse 11. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, or violence, I suppose. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made this world as wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lying in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Anyway, it goes on to finish the passage. I think that's all I'm going to say in this passage. But I was thinking to myself, okay, why did he bring that up after the restoration of Israel? What is he talking about here? Why did he bring up Lucifer in this passage? Simple question, why? And why is he described as a man? And then all of a sudden, oh, it occurred to me, I know what this is about. This might have been, we always assume that this is Jesus talking about Lucifer being thrown out of heaven at the Great Rebellion, and I don't doubt that maybe it's talking about, or probably talking about, at least to some extent. But this is not talking about that. This is talking about the beast system. This is talking about the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and chapter 13. This is what this is talking about. And I can prove it to you. This is amazing. When the Lord told me this, and he said he's described as a man because the man is empowered with Satan's authority, the Antichrist. And Satan at this particular time, he said he was going to go up to heaven, and he was going to, he's cast down. He says, how thou art cast down. Let's just read that again. I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. Um, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cast down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? What nations is he talking about? If he was talking about heaven being cast out of heaven during angel wars or something, then what nations is he talking about? How didst thou weaken the nations? For their heart has for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit upon the mountain of congregations on the sides of the north, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. When is Satan sent to the pit? Well, that's after the Lord returns to the earth and then casts him into the bottomless pit. Thou art cast down, brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And they shall look narrowly upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man? And I thought, this the man? Why are they talking about man? We're talking about a Lucifer, who's an angel, the fallen angel, and now they're talking about a man. What is this about? Of course, it matches Revelation chapter 12 and 13. Let's just go there quickly with, let's go to chapter 12. The woman in heaven, she gives birth, and then the dragon, Lucifer, tries to kill the baby. And with him, um, he, there's an angel war. She's saved. The child is saved. They're caught up to heaven. And then Satan is what? Thrown down to the earth. There was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. There's an angel war going on. And I'm thinking, why doesn't Jesus step in at this particular time? Why doesn't Jesus, say, Satan, be cast down? They could have easily done that. But this is an angel war because Satan is an angel. So he sends the angel Michael against Satan at this time. This angel war occurs at Revelation chapter 12 after the woman in heaven gives birth. This is an angel war. And this, he's, look at this, keep reading. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. That would be Lucifer, who tried to raise his throne above heaven, above the other stars, which are angels. And the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. This is when he's cast where? To the ground. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, comes against the nations, made the nations tremble, and was cast down to where? The earth. It's the same thing. It goes in Isaiah 14. And his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of the brethren is cast down, which accused them before God, our God, day and night. Now Satan has no more accusation against the people of God. He's no longer allowed in heaven to accuse the brethren. That's when all that accusations stop. It stops there at the angel war. After the woman in heaven gives birth, there's an angel war. He's cast down where? To the ground. The same as it is in Isaiah 14. Oh! And then this, I guess, there's more explanation as to why it's a man. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. And the woman was given two wings of the eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. So now he goes after Israel on earth. He couldn't get the spiritual Israel. He couldn't go after her. He tried to kill her and her baby. Didn't work. They were rescued, and now he goes to the earth to persecute physical Israel that's still on the earth. Remember this. Revelation chapter 11. They have to build a temple because of the spiritual truth. Whatever's going on in the spiritual realm must manifest in the physical. They are not allowed and permitted by God to build that temple until the rapture of the church is removed. The bride is removed to heaven. Okay? The bride and the virgins go. Then Israel is permitted, because whatever's going on in the spiritual realm must manifest in the physical. They're left on earth to go through their puberty, if you will. They're going to be forced out of the classroom. They're no longer going to be under this is what I was thinking about the law. I think, how it says in Galatians that the schoolroom, the law is the schoolroom. And Israel loves the law. They love to be under control. They've been controlled and controllable those of the synagogue of Satan, likes to keep Israel under control and tight wrapped, and to keep them in the schoolroom. They have not allowed them to um, um, mature. So they haven't even hit puberty yet. They're still in the schoolroom. So anyway, they go in here, and that's why it also talks about how the 144,000 who are first sealed before the destruction of the earth can come on. The heavens and the earth melt away, as it says in Matthew 24. Like, whoa, this is like everything is starting to make sense to me. So here he talks about Matthew 24. He talks about having between the fig tree being be birthed, but or be replanted, but before it can bring forth fruit, before it actually hits puberty, if you will, the heavens and earth pass away, then the rapture of the church happens, and it all fits. It all fits because now Israel's left behind. They've got their hands on the men have got their hands on their loins like a woman in travail because they're hitting puberty. They're going to be forced into puberty. That's amazing. So now you have the 144,000 who are sealed with the name of who, not the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They're sealed with only one name. They're sealed with the name of the Father. They're sealed with the name of the Father. And later on in Revelation chapter 14, I think it is, that talks about the 144,000 again, they're described as the first fruits. They're the first fruits of who? Of Israel. They're not the first fruits of the church. They're the first fruits of Israel, who has been left behind to go through their puberty. And the 144,000 are Israel's first fruits after the rapture of the church. But this is not really the point where I want to go to. Where I want to go to is this point here, where it talks about this woman who is who's given birth. There's this angel war, and Michael casts down Satan to the ground. When he gets to the ground, he persecutes physical Israel and also the the Gentiles, who are also the lukewarm church, the Laodicean church, the left behind people, who are also having to make a decision of whether they're going to take the mark of the beast or not. But this is interesting because um, Satan is cast down at this particular time. And what does he do? In the next chapter, chapter 13, it describes this beast that rises up. Why does this beast rise up? Because Satan's been cast down, and then that's when he empowers this beast system. And it says he gives authority to the Antichrist. He gives his authority to the Antichrist. This is amazing. Revelation 13:1. And I stood in the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. Everyone's been looking for this beast right now. It's not going to arise at this particular time, people. While the church is still here, we are the Holy Spirit, the church, the Jesus Christ himself is keeping this system from being manifested, and it will not manifest itself till after the rapture of the church, heaven and earth, this the mountains falling into the sea and all this destruction going on, and then the third temple is built. The two witnesses restrain again this antichrist system, and then Satan is cast down to the earth, as it says in Isaiah 14, cast down to the earth after the angel war, and then this occurs. Then this beast system arises. Why? Because Satan, who's full of wrath, empowers a man, the Antichrist, with his authority. Okay? And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and on his feet there was the feet of the bear, and his mouth is the feet of the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. Right there. The dragon gave him, who? The Antichrist, a man, his power and his seat and great authority. That's why he's described as a man in Isaiah 14. That makes sense. And I saw on his head, as it were, wounded to death. The deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped who? The dragon. Because the Antichrist will be filled with the spirit of Satan. Satan himself will take possession of this man. That's why he's described as Lucifer, an angel. He's also described as a man, because this Antichrist, this man, will be empowered and filled with the authority of Satan, Lucifer himself, at this time. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given him a mouth to speaking great things and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. So he's blaspheming the temple that was been rebuilt. He's blaspheming the name of God. He's blaspheming those who are still dwelling on earth, or he's blaspheming the temple dwellers in heaven. That's us, the church, the bride. The virgins are all taken, who have been taken to heaven. He blasphemes us, telling lies about us. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life, and slain from the foundations of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Um, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And then he talks about the mark of the beast. So this makes a lot more sense. And then we have the 144,000 who've been redeemed from the earth. And it talks about how they are the first fruits. They're the first fruits of Israel people. They're not the first fruits of the church. They are been left behind. That's why they're sealed with the name of the Father on earth. And this is where it says it. And lo, 144. Look, and lo, a lamb stood on the mountain, Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written on their foreheads. Remember, the bride has three names: the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit, written on her foreheads, and that's in Revelation chapter 3, the Church of Philadelphia, who are removed from the hour of tribulation, which shall come upon the whole world. Here we have 144,000 who are sealed on their foreheads with the name of the Father, and they're told that in Revelation chapter 7, when it talks about the raptured church, it talks about this 144,000 who are left behind, who are told, the angels on the four corners of the earth are told not to harm the earth until they seal the 144,000 Jewish men. Jewish men. Okay, they seal this 144,000 Jewish men who have the name of the Father written on their forehead. Until they're sealed, they can't harm the earth. Okay, is to make sure, protect them, that make sure nothing happens to them. So it doesn't make sense that they're sealed and taken up to heaven so nothing can happen to them. So they're sealed with a, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. They're left behind. And so here they're called the first fruits, um, which were redeemed from the earth. That's Revelation 14:3. These which had not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They are redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and the Lamb. And their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Which is interesting. This is interesting that they mentioned that in their mouth was found no guile. Where do we see this before? We see this when Jesus sees Nathaniel, I think it's Nathaniel, sitting under the fig tree. And when he shows up to Jesus, he comes up to Jesus. He's been told Jesus is the Messiah. Come see him. He's really, really cool. You got to see this guy. And so I think it's Peter. I can't remember who else, but someone else tells Nathaniel, you need to come and see this guy. You got to hear what he has to say. Nathaniel leaves his position underneath the fig tree, comes to see Jesus, and Jesus immediately says, a man in Israel upon who there is no guile. And here he says about these Jewish people, um, in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. He says that about Nathaniel under the fig tree. Who's the fig tree? Oh, the fig tree is about cunning, slyness, craftiness, deceivableness. And yet he says about Nathaniel, who's sitting under the fig tree represents Israel, and that there is no guile in him. The fig tree represents hiding the truth, hiding behind, a lie, or hiding behind something to try to hide your sin, to hide your wrongdoings behind. And yet he says about Nathaniel, there is no guile. So is that a coincidence that he should say that in this passage? In their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. I think it's not a coincidence. I think that this was said directly to show us that this is the first fruits of Israel, in whom there is no guile, who who are been under the fig tree, and the new fig tree that's been planted, the new fig tree that was planted and restored to the land of Israel, a new fig tree that's been planted that's now gone into puberty, if you will, and who's now understood what God through Jesus Christ was trying to say. Okay, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Let me see if I can find that passage really quickly so you can look it up yourself, Kyle. Um, da, 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 da. In whom there is no guile, John 1:47. When Jesus saw Nathanael coming and said unto him, Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no guile. And what's also interesting is that this man makes a declaration. Listen to what he says. Nathanael said, um, whence knowest thou me? And Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee. Nathanael answered and said unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under a fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. He makes a declaration. This man in whom there is no guile. And here we have in Revelation chapter 14, the 144,000 who are described as not having any guile in them. They're the first fruits of the new fig tree. Like Nathaniel, they're following Christ wherever he goes. That is amazing. I just thought of that, just came into my head as I'm going through this passage here. And that is why, because I was just going to make this a shorter video. I didn't think it was going to be this long. But that is, just like I said, it makes another piece to the puzzle. It makes sense. He was talking prophetically about Lucifer falling to the earth. And that's why he's described as a man, because here in Revelation chapter 13, he empowers a man with his authority. And all the nations are going to wonder, going, is this the man that made us tremble? Is this the man? After he's thrown down, after he's exposed, he goes into the temple and says, I'm God. Like I said, I don't know any normal person who would do such a thing. A normal person. But the beast who's empowered with the power of Satan would. He would be so arrogant because the arrogance of Satan, Lucifer, and Satan will be in his heart. And he will have his authority, and he will defile the temple by walking into the new temple that's built, and he will say, I am God, as it says in Isaiah 14. Let's just read that passage one more time, shall we? Let's see if I can find it quickly here. Isaiah 14. I hope this is making sense to you, because it makes sense to me. You get Isaiah 14, we got the remnant of Israel being restored to Israel, and then we have this passage about Lucifer falling to the ground. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit upon the mountain of the congregation on the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, and did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings and of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through like with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under foot. And it's also interesting, I think, so what he's saying here, here's your destiny, Satan. You're going to be cast down. You're going to be cast down to the pit, and all the nations will be returned to normal, basically. Each nation will go to its own nation, and they will begin to rise up again. After you had brought them under this umbrella of the New World Order, this one world government, after you made everybody tremble and shake, you're going to be cast down. You're going to be cast down to the pit, and then all the nations that you had control of will go back to their natural order, to where they were supposed to be, so that Christ can rule and reign over them naturally and normally, with the way. And how is he going to do it? It says that each nation will, every year on the Feast of Tabernacles, will go and pay homage to the Lord at the temple in Jerusalem. So each nation will be will basically go back to being each nation again. God will restore each nation their land and their peoples, and they will flourish as long as they give homage to Jesus Christ. So it's just very, very interesting. I hope you found how interesting this is. This is stuff. Like I said, more pieces are going into place, and I'm going, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, that goes with that. That goes with that. God has given me this ministry. He's given me this amazing ability to see things that haven't been seen before, to put together the pieces into the right places that have been out of place or haven't been understood fully. Like I said, when I read this passage before, I always thought, and I was told that this was talking about pre-creation angel wars that were going on. Satan was cast down. And maybe that has something to do with it, but this is a prophetic word. This is a prophetic word. The Lord is talking prophetically here about what's going to happen in the future that's happening right now. Israel being restored to the land. They're in the state of still in the schoolroom, but when the Lord forces them into puberty, if you will, and then allows them to build a temple, and the angel wars going on in heaven after the woman gives birth, and Satan is cast down. This is what this is referring to. Revelation chapter uh, 12 and 13. 11, 12, and 13, because chapter 11, actually, the whole book. The whole book of Revelation is amazing, but it's talking about how the two witnesses come back. John is given this scroll. He's given a rod to measure the temple in heaven, so that he can take measurements and blueprints, so he can help. He will be in charge of restoring the temple on earth. It's absolutely mandatory that it's built, but you will not, those who are in Christ Jesus right now, who are part of the bride and the virgins that will be removed, you will not be here to see it. You'll be seeing the most glorious temple, far more glorious and glory filled temple in heaven. And you will not be here to see this temple, unless, of course, you come back with Christ to rule and reign with him on earth, to maintain the peace on earth with Christ. That's up to the Lord. All I know is that whatever is going to go happening in heaven will be far more glorious and far more interesting and far more amazing than this temple. This temple down here is only going to be a physical manifestation of a spiritual truth, and the spiritual truth will be far more magnificent and I think more interesting than what you'll see down here on earth. Um, so this Revelation chapter 10, you see John given the blueprints for the temple. He's told he's going to have to go and witness again to many people, tribes, to great people. He's told that at the end of the chapter. Um, he says, after he eats the scroll, um, Revelation 10:11, and he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many people, nations, tongues, and kings. Then you have chapter 11, you have the two witnesses who have the measurements of the temple. They build the temple. They have great power to keep the spirit of the Antichrist trying to take over temple worship. It is a very special temple, which represents the Jews and the Gentiles coming together as one man. One new man, which I'm going to talk about in one of my next videos, the one new man. And this temple is special. It's different from the temple that was previous, because Christ, like I said, he said that he was that third temple, he was the second temple that had to be destroyed, because that was only the temple for the Jews. It was only for Israel. But this new temple will be for both Jew and Gentile. And it will be a different temple from the one that Solomon built. It will be different from the one that was built afterwards. Like I said, the second temple. And this temple, this third temple, is for the one new man, both Jew and Gentile, which is why it has to be built, why it's absolutely vital that it must be built. But we, like I said, the church will not be here to see it. But isn't this amazing? This is amazing. Boy, more pieces to the puzzle. I'm so excited. And when the Lord showed this to me, because I asked them, I said, Lord, why is Lucifer described as an angel? And then why is he described as a man? And then the Lord said, well, easy enough. Not that hard, Barbara Jean. It just, it's talking about the future when Lucifer empowers the spirit of the Antichrist. And after he's been cast down by the angel wars in Revelation chapter 12, and then he empowers the Antichrist with his spirit. And then afterwards, the nations are going to be looking at him after he's, again, a loser. And he loses and loses and loses and loses after he um, practically destroys the nations and forces people to take the mark of the beast. But people, like I said before, millions and millions of people will not take the mark of the beast. They would rather die than take his mark once they see that this truly, when Satan is completely exposed and the Antichrist is exposed by his evil doings, people will have their eyes finally opened and realize, you know what, this guy's the devil, and they'd rather die than to take his mark. And there will be many, many, many people who will be saved during that time, which is a very, very good thing to know. But anyway, I think that's all we need to say. I hope that you can see what I'm seeing. This is really, really cool what the Lord was showing. He showed us something new. Um, but anyway, yeah, I think that's all I need to say. God bless. I will talk to you later.